Hello, and welcome back to our SpeakFlow Channel listening practice. Today, we will follow a man named Daniel. Daniel has a simple plan. He wants to go to the supermarket to buy a few things for dinner. But, as you will soon see, a simple trip to the supermarket does not always stay simple. Now, let's begin. It is Saturday morning. Daniel wakes up at 8 o'clock. He opens his eyes and looks at the clock. "Oh no," he says. It is already 8 o'clock. Daniel gets out of bed. He walks to the kitchen. He opens the refrigerator. There is not much food inside. There is one egg. There is a little milk. There is half a tomato. And there is a small piece of cheese. Daniel looks at the refrigerator for a few seconds. Then, he closes the door. "I need to go shopping," he says. Daniel takes a piece of paper. He makes a shopping list. He writes down the things he needs. He needs eggs. He needs milk. He needs bread. He needs rice. He needs chicken. He also needs some vegetables. Daniel looks at his list. "Okay," he says. "I only need a few things." He puts the list in his pocket. Then, he takes his wallet and his shopping bag. Daniel lives near a supermarket. It is about 10 minutes from his home. The weather is nice. The sun is shining, and the sky is blue. Daniel walks down the street. He sees many people. Some people are walking. Some people are riding bicycles. A woman is walking her dog. A little boy is eating an ice cream. Daniel smiles. It is a beautiful Saturday morning. After 10 minutes, Daniel arrives at the supermarket. The supermarket is big and busy. There are many cars in the parking lot. Daniel takes a shopping cart. He looks at his list. "Eggs first," he says. He walks to the food section. There are many different kinds of eggs. Some eggs are white. Some eggs are brown. Some eggs are in small boxes. Some eggs are in large boxes. Daniel looks at the prices. He thinks for a moment. Then, he chooses one box of eggs. He puts the eggs carefully into his cart. Next, he looks for milk. The milk is in a large refrigerator. Daniel takes one bottle of milk. Then, he sees chocolate milk. Daniel likes chocolate milk very much. He stops and looks at it. He looks at his shopping list. Chocolate milk is not on the list. "No," he says. "I don't need chocolate milk." He walks away. But after a few steps, he stops. He looks back at the chocolate milk. Daniel smiles. "Maybe I need one." He goes back and puts a bottle of chocolate milk into his cart. Now he has one extra thing. But he does not worry. He continues shopping. Next, Daniel goes to the bread section. The smell of fresh bread fills the air. The bread smells wonderful. Daniel sees white bread. He sees brown bread. He sees small rolls. He sees large cakes. Daniel wants to buy bread, but then he sees a beautiful chocolate cake. The cake has white cream and small strawberries on top. Daniel looks at the cake. He looks at the price. Then, he looks at his shopping list. The cake is not on the list. Daniel takes a deep breath. "No cake today," he says. He walks away. But the cake looks very good. Daniel walks a little more. Then, he stops again. He looks back. He thinks about the cake. Today is Saturday. He is at the supermarket. And he really likes chocolate cake. "Maybe I can buy a small cake," he says. Daniel goes back to the cake. He looks at the small cakes. Finally, he chooses one small chocolate cake. He puts it in his cart. Now Daniel has 2 extra things. Chocolate milk and chocolate cake. He looks at his shopping cart. This is not good, he says. But he is smiling. Daniel continues to the vegetable section. He needs vegetables for dinner. He sees carrots. He sees potatoes. He sees tomatoes. He sees onions. He sees green beans. He also sees some beautiful red apples. Daniel picks up 1 apple. It looks fresh and delicious. He puts it in his cart. Then, he picks up another apple. And another one. Soon, he has 6 apples in his cart. Daniel looks at the apples. I only need 1, he says. But he likes apples. So, he keeps all 6. Next, Daniel chooses some carrots and tomatoes. He also chooses 2 onions. Then, he goes to the meat section. He needs chicken for dinner. There are many kinds of chicken. Daniel looks at the packages. He chooses 1 small package of chicken. Then, he checks his shopping list. Eggs. Milk. Bread. Rice. Chicken. Vegetables. He has almost everything. Daniel walks to the rice section. There are many bags of rice. Some bags are small. Some bags are very large. Daniel chooses a medium bag. He puts it in his cart. Now his cart is becoming full. Daniel looks at his list again. He has everything he needs. He is ready to go to the checkout. But on the way to the checkout, he sees something interesting. It is a small table with free food. A woman is giving people small pieces of cheese. Would you like to try some? She asks. Daniel looks at the cheese. Yes, please, he says. He takes a small piece. The cheese is delicious. Daniel looks at the table. There are many different kinds of cheese. He does not need cheese. But the cheese is very good. Daniel looks at his shopping cart. Then, he looks at the cheese. Finally, he chooses a small package. He puts it in his cart. Okay, Daniel says. Now I really need to go. He walks to the checkout. There are 3 people in front of him. Daniel waits. The line moves slowly. A little girl in front of him is holding a large toy. The toy is a big yellow duck. Daniel looks at the duck. The little girl smiles at him. Daniel smiles back. After a few minutes, it is Daniel's turn. He puts his food on the checkout counter. The cashier takes each item. Eggs. Milk. Chocolate milk. Bread. Rice. Chicken. Vegetables. Apples. Chocolate cake. And cheese. Daniel watches the items. He suddenly remembers his shopping list. He looks at the list. Then, he looks at all the food. He realizes something. He bought many things that were not on his list. Daniel laughs. I only wanted a few things, he says. The cashier smiles. Yes, she says. It happens to many people. Daniel pays for his shopping. He takes his bags. The bags are heavy. Very heavy. Daniel walks out of the supermarket. He looks at the bags in his hands. Then, he looks at the supermarket. He remembers the chocolate milk. He remembers the chocolate cake. He remembers the cheese. Daniel laughs again. I came here for eggs, milk, bread, rice, chicken, and vegetables, he says. And I also bought chocolate milk, chocolate cake, 6 apples, and cheese. Daniel starts walking home. The bags are heavy, but he is happy. The sun is still shining. The weather is still warm. And now, Daniel is thinking about dinner. He will cook chicken with rice and vegetables. After dinner, he will eat some chocolate cake. And maybe he will drink his chocolate milk. When Daniel arrives home, he puts the bags on the kitchen table. He takes everything out. He puts the milk in the refrigerator. He puts the vegetables in the kitchen. He puts the rice in the cupboard. And he puts the chocolate cake on the table. Daniel looks at the cake. He wants to eat it now. But he stops. No, he says. Dinner first. He puts the cake in the refrigerator. Then, he looks at his shopping list. The list is still in his pocket. Daniel takes it out. He looks at the words. Eggs. Milk. Bread. Rice. Chicken. Vegetables. He smiles. He bought everything on the list. But he also bought many other things. Daniel puts the list on the table. Then, he starts cooking. It was supposed to be a short trip to the supermarket. But sometimes, a simple trip can become a small adventure. And sometimes, the things we do not plan to buy are the things that make us the happiest. So, what about you? What do you usually buy at the supermarket? Do you make a shopping list? And do you always follow your list? Or do you sometimes buy something extra? Maybe some chocolate. Maybe a cake. Or maybe something you see when you are walking through the store. Thank you for listening to today's SpeakFlow Channel story. See you in the next story.